Alright, so let's take a look. First thing I'm doing is I'm numbering my equations, equation 1 and equation 2. I find the equation that begins with x equals or y equals. In this case, they both do, so you can choose one. Y is equal to 2x plus 1. So I'm going to replace y with 2x plus 1 in the other equation. This is going to replace the y. The y is not there anymore. Where's the other y? That one's also not there, and this is going to go in its place. So when I substitute, I'm going to write down sub 1 into 2 because I put the first equation into the second one. And I'm going to write it out together. 2x plus 1 equals 5 minus 4x. So I'm going quickly with the answers because you guys already have this done on your sheet of paper. Right? We paused and you tried it. So I want to put the x's on the same side and the numbers on the same side. But I have 2x over here and 4x on the right. Where are they going to go? Am I going to move my negative 4x this way or my 2x this way? 4x, because we want to make it easier for ourselves, so let's keep our numbers positive. And my 1 is going to that side. So 2x plus 4x on the left equals 5 minus 1 on the right. When I have a coefficient in front of the x, I have to divide by that number in order to make it go away. So I'm dividing both sides by 6, which makes those cancel. And I can reduce this fraction. 4 over 6, if I divide both sides by 2, is the same thing as saying 2/3. So that's the x coordinate of the point of intersection. Then I have to find the y coordinate. So I'm going to substitute x equals 2/3 into any one of those two equations. They both start with y equals, so it doesn't really matter which one I pick. I'm going to use brackets. So 2 bracket, I put the x value in. Oops. Y equals 2 bracket, put the x value in, plus 1. The x is 2/3. How do I multiply 2 times a fraction? No? Put a 1 underneath. And then I go top times the top, bottom times the bottom. So 2 times 2 is 4, 1 times 3 is 3. Now I'm going to add that to 1. In order to add, we have to have common denominators. Right? This is 1 over 1, so we can't quite put them together just yet. We have to find a common denominator. So we're multiplying this entire fraction by 3 to make them both over 3. So 4/3 plus 3/3, and y is equal to 7 over 3. Therefore, the POI is x goes first, y goes next, and we're done.
Whoa.
Okay. I'm not going to show you the entire second question, but I'm going to show you the beginning because that's the part that I think would be the most easy to make a mistake on. So again, all the answers, all the notes will be posted online. When you guys started off with question B, you saw that neither of them began with x equals or y equals. Which one do you choose to rearrange? Second one, because it's got a y by itself, right? This y by itself right here, that's the easiest one to isolate. So we're going to move the 4x to this side. This is equation 1, this is equation 2. For equation 2, I'm going to rearrange it. It's y equals, you can either say negative 4x plus 7, or you can say y equals 7 minus 4x. They're both right. That's our second equation. This is our first equation. It hasn't changed. I don't need to rearrange both equations. I only have to have one that begins with x equals or y equals. So now that I have that, the equation that has an x equals or y equals is telling us to replace that y with negative 4x plus 7. Well, the y is right here. So it's not going to be there anymore. This is going to be in its place. So my substitution step, I'm taking the second equation and I'm putting it into the first equation. I'm writing out the first equation exactly as it was, but I'm going to put brackets that are empty where I used to see a y. And what y is equal to, negative 4x plus 7, goes in its place. What would I do to continue this question down? How would I solve? Kevin?
Well, do the brackets first.
Use the, what's this called? Distributive property, right? Use the distributive property, expand the brackets, put your like terms together, solve for x, and plug it back in for y. Okay, so the answer you should have received at the end is 2, negative 1. little A there for answer. We're not going to do the whole question together now. Anything else about substitution you need to know? Okay. So on the next page we have a third method, and it's elimination. So remind me when we want to use elimination. When is it the best method?
When you tell us to.
When I tell you to. Okay, so the question was when the decimal's in there? Maybe. When I tell you to, for sure. When would you choose substitution versus elimination, and backwards? When would you choose elimination? Yeah?
If you're given two same variables.
If you have two variables that are on the same side together, right? If it's closer to standard form. So in this case, we're going to write down use elimination when the x's and the y's are together. So usually it'll look like this: x's plus the y's equal the numbers. Or it might be in standard form. And when that's the case, you're going to choose elimination because it's easier to use than to rearrange. Especially when you have a coefficient of x and y for all of the variables that are numbers greater than 1. It's not going to be able to be rearranged without having fractions. So you're going to choose elimination as a better method. Who remembers how we eliminated an x or a y in this method? What made them cancel? Jean? Most of the time we added them. When we added them and they canceled out, it was because the numbers were the same, like 2 and 2, but one was positive, one was negative. So 2x plus negative 2x cancels out and gives us 0. So when we use the method of elimination, what we do is we add together x's or y's that have the same number but opposite signs. So the coefficients, or their numbers in front of them, have the same number but opposite signs. For example, 2x and negative 2x. Sometimes that'll be the case in the question as I give it to you, and other times you'll have to rearrange or you'll have to multiply to make that happen. Right? If you don't see that the numbers in front of x or the numbers in front of y are the same with opposite signs, then you're going to want to multiply the equation to make that happen. So multiply one or both equations if needed. When you use elimination, what happens is it eliminates or cancels one of the variables. It's going to either be the x or the y. So you're going to choose one. You're going to look at both the options and ask yourself which one is the better choice. Should I cancel out the x's or should I cancel out the y's? And one of them is going to disappear. The one that's left is what you'd solve for first. When we do elimination, we have to make sure we check places that we can make mistakes. Right? Remember I used to have you guys put little check marks when we did those questions? Make sure you multiplied all the way through the equation, even the last number at the end. And make sure that the signs are opposites. Most of you aren't subtracting. If you've been doing that before, that's okay. But in order to add, you have to have a positive and a negative to cancel them out. So make sure the signs are opposites. When you add them together, you cancel out one variable and you solve for the other. And then whatever your first answer is, you plug it back in. And that's elimination. So there's two questions on this page that are solved by elimination questions. I'm only going to do B with you in about 5 minutes. Because B is harder than A. I will put the answers up for you, just like I did previously. Yeah.
Pass them up a beat.
Will do. I'm going to put the answers over here, so when you're working, you can check them.
Yes.
I heard you, Kylie.
No.
There's nothing else up there.
There's the red
That's-
thing that I can't really see.
That's it. So give it some time to work, and then we'll take question B together.